Amprius Technologies has more potential than the fat girl in middle school who became really hot. This company is executing at a level that I'm extremely impressed with, and I want to talk about it. Before we get into the video, this is not financial advice, just my opinion. Amprius just reported earnings for Q4 2025 and for the full year of 2025, and it is nothing short of incredible. I made a video last earnings kind of explaining why I was so bullish, and the earnings this year just kind of confirmed my thesis about the company. So if you don't already know, Amprius is a battery technology company. They create batteries primarily for drones, okay? And this is really interesting because we've seen a huge interest in drone stocks and drone companies over the past few months and years with escalating tensions and with newer technology coming into the battlefield, primarily with the Ukraine and Russia war. I think because of that war, we were able to see drones being used in ways that we didn't really understand. And now we're in the middle of another crisis, which is the US taking out the Iranian regime. Now, I do not want to talk about it. Amprius is a really asymmetric trade going into this year with these tensions going on and with the technology going how it is. If you haven't had a chance to listen to their Q4 earnings call, I would highly recommend it. It's the new CEO talking, Tom Steppen, I think is how his name is pronounced. But he gives a really good breakdown of what the company does and what they're innovating on, how they're executing. But basically, the way he explained it in the earnings call, which again, I'll link below so you can listen to it. But he basically explained that their batteries are like an espresso compared to a regular coffee. You get twice the hit with half of the size or the amount of coffee, right? So with an espresso, you get twice the caffeine, twice the energy, half the amount. And with their batteries, what they're doing is they're able to extend the life of the drone or the technology that they're using the battery for and give it more power and in a smaller package. Now, I made a video talking a little bit about the technology, so you can go ahead and watch that. I'm not an expert in their technology. I just really like how they're executing the company. And this is what I wanted to talk about. Let's go ahead and look at their earnings real quick. Q4 revenue up 137%. It's a high growth name to 25.2 million. So they're not making a ton of money in the overall grand stock market, right? Like most companies are making hundreds of millions per quarter if they're listed on the stock market. So it's still a relatively small company, but they're in their growth phase. 137% year over year is nothing small. Full year revenue 2025 is 73 million. So they're almost that 100 million mark for the whole year. And that's 3 times more, almost 3 times, or up over 3 times more than last year, 2024. Now, they're still not profitable, but they are on the trajectory of profitability. And another thing that I really like about them is that they have no debt, which is really exciting. So they're running the company in a very well-mannered way. And they're also growing at triple digits, and they've been growing at triple digits for the past like 4 quarters or whatever. Now, this is expected to slow down because obviously they're in their high growth phase. It's unsustainable to grow at that rate forever, but there's still going to be a high growth stock because they're in a very interesting industry, and they're kind of at this pivot point in technology where we're starting to see a lack of energy all around. And that's kind of the play with the AI story, is that, you know, we have the chips and whatnot, but we just don't have the energy to satisfy the compute, right? And I think that's going to be the same with technology and robotics and drones. Is we're going to have to find ways to become more fuel efficient and more efficient in general. And that's where Amprius comes in, especially with drones. I'm a drone pilot myself. Drones do not last that long. And so if we can make them last longer, unlike you, then we'll be able to execute more and satisfy the customers more. And that's kind of their thesis, right? And so they're, like I said, they're at this pivot point where, they've been developing these batteries for drones, but there's also so many other use cases where energy is going to need to become efficient. And one of those plays is actually robotics. I think, and Amprius is actually focusing a little bit on robotics and how they can make, batteries for humanoid robots like Tesla or figures making. And so I think if they can get into that market, even though it's early now, in 10 years, they could be the primary battery for all of these robotics coming out, which is really exciting. So it's a whole nother vertical on top of the drones. But drone warfare is kind of growing and becoming more utilized. Another exciting thing is that they put out 2026 full year guidance. They're looking at growing to 125 million for the full year, which is a 73% increase from 2025. And that's really impressive. As a high growth investor, as a long-term investor, I want to see companies trying to execute for high growth numbers like 73%. And I think that they'll be able to easily get that with the tailwinds that they have going forward, with more drone utilization, more robotics, etc. Now, looking at the chart from a technical point of view, this company has had a very large run because of earnings. And interestingly enough, I think it's actually benefiting from the Iranian conflict going on, because they've shifted a little bit more from consumer drones to defense drones, right? They're kind of getting into the defense industries, and that's also why they decided to become compliant with the Department of War, and they've been starting to build their batteries and whatnot with partners not in China, so like in other countries like South Korea and whatnot. And so by doing so, they're opening themselves up to a lot more contracts with the military or with defense and whatnot. So from their earnings pump, they've gone past this level that we've kind of been maintaining at for the past few months, and we finally shot through it. Now, this could keep running. We're kind of in a price discovery mode. We're at a 2.5 billion market cap, which, a company making $73 million per year, valued at a $2.5 billion market cap. I don't know if this keeps going or not. Kind of looks like it's losing a little bit of steam. And so if you're getting in now, just be aware that this could drop in the short term. But as a long-term investor, I personally don't think it matters whether you get in now or you get in at $10, whatever, I'm not trying to necessarily time the market as an investor. Now, I have done trading and I like trading, but right now I'm focusing on investing. And so I might wait for a little bit of a pullback if we do get one, but I would not be afraid to buy here, knowing that at a $2.5 billion market cap now, this thing could reach $20 billion in the future. I like to be overly optimistic. Companies have a pretty easy time going from 10 to 20 billion. Once they hit to 20 billion, they kind of have to prove themselves a lot more. And I don't really expect Amprius to go up that much yet. I think they need to show off more income, more deals, maybe have that robotics play in, more drone companies. They just need to make more money. They're at $73 million a year. They're going to double that next year almost. My first video about this was only 3 months ago, and we were sitting at $10.60. And so, I've kind of been pounding my hand on the table for this company since then. It's kind of been consolidating. But this is an incredible asymmetric opportunity. It falls into multiple themes such as drones, defense now, and also robotics in the future. I think it could catch a bid. It's not susceptible necessarily to AI or software, since those two things have kind of been weary and sold off. Software's been sold off. AI has kind of been like, oh, everyone's waiting for a bubble break. AMPX is like picks and shovels, right? Like they're kind of like the NVIDIA of drones in a way. They offer the picks and shovels of the drone industry, which is batteries, the energy needed. And I'm a huge energy guy. I love Bloom Energy as my main energy name for data centers. I love Constellation Energy. I like Venture Global as an LNG play. I don't know everything there is to know about energy. I'm still learning. But AMPX kind of falls into the we need more power and quicker power if we're going to innovate on our technology. And that's kind of where we're going. Drones suck up a lot of energy. Robotics are going to suck up a lot of energy. If we can create technology that sustains them properly and gives them more shelf life or use life, then that's a company that I want to be invested in. If you would have bought this stock when I first talked about it at $10, you would have basically doubled your money. I mean, we got up to 1943, I think at the high, around there, 1950. I talked about it at 1050, 1060, which is, like a 90% increase. And so I'm only saying that because I trust this company. I think they're going to be doing great things. The CEO, listening to him, sounded like he knew what he was talking about. They've gotten some new deals with Nokia for their drones, and they're continuing to open doors with the Department of War, which I like looking at them as a defense supplier, since that's kind of a theme that we've been working on this year with all the conflicts going on. Anyway, I don't know if there's much more to say about this company. I'm extremely bullish, and I'm going to keep updating you guys on any new deals. Today's my birthday. Tomorrow I might have a baby, my third baby. If you want to support me in this journey, I just like to share my opinion on the markets and specific companies that are executing well in hopes that we can all, make money together. If you want to support my channel, please subscribe and follow along my investing journey. And comment below if you have any objections to this name or if there's other names that I should take a look at. I have a few stocks that I want to research some more and make some more videos on, particularly in this space, the defense space, technology space. And then, I'm super bullish on AI and energy. And then also Robinhood basically is my favorite company ever. So those are the companies that I'll be talking about. Thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe for more.